Thanks, dear viewers, for joining us on this edition of the newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. My name is Pablo Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, we got to take you into the trauma and misery of rape victims in the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon. This problem is further made complex by members of the Nigerian terrorist sect Boko Haram, who storm villages in the far north region of the country, raping young girls and even women. Will tell you their stories in this edition of the news. And ahead of school resumption in the Republic of Cameroon, parents are lamenting over hardship and the plethora of challenges they are facing in getting their children ready for back to school. We'll also talk about the transitional leaders in Mali who were sworn in today. We begin this newscast in the security crisis-stricken far north region of the Republic of Cameroon, where Equinoxe tells us the sad and heartbreaking stories of rape victims, young girls and women raped by alleged members of the Nigerian terrorist sect Boko Haram. His report.
They are not solely victims of Boko Haram hostilities, but also rape.
J'ai été victime de cas de viol. Cela me faisait aussi très mal dans mon cœur.
These victims in the Mayo Sava division say this sexual abuse has brought them trauma, shame, illiteracy, as they believed they will be stigmatized when in school.
C'est pour cela que je n'ai pas eu la chance de continuer mes études.
Joblessness, being another guest in their homes, has worsened matters.
D'autres n'ont pas de moyens aussi.
Agricultural and other domestic income generating activities have been lost in the Boko Haram war.
Avant, on faisait des cours de culture, mais là, on a tout perdu.
After several years in this unbearable misery and agony, they have today decided to unveil their pain and suffering to government, imploring for fights against the sexual abuse and violence against women as the state military battles the nightmare-bringing sect Boko Haram.
Je demande au gouvernement
That all victims like her be kindly helped.
victimes de cas de viol comme moi.
Nous implorons le gouvernement.
Government is also expected to assist humanitarian agents, rights defenders, and stakeholders in the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family for the sake of these victims.
Par ces violences-là.
It is thanks to these humanitarian agents that this smile and tears drying ball has been set rolling.
Après 9 mois de formation,
An activity like sewing, for instance, has given these women, 50 in number, reason to smile as they will be able to be independent and generate income from sewing. Thanks for the 10 months training, backed up by a sewing diploma.
nous profitons de cette occasion pour adresser nos sincères remerciements à ONU Femmes pour cette initiative salutaire qui va positivement changer notre vie.
The trainers believe with this, the rape victims will gradually come out of the trauma. They implore other non-governmental organizations and persons of goodwill to support such initiative, which will bring more of these victims to normal life.
A member of parliament of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) political party once described the far north region of Cameroon as the region of 1,000 problems, and one of the problems affecting that part of the country is food insecurity, and malnutrition is having a negative impact on the lives of children, in particular in that part of the country. Details in this report.
Il lui faut du repas qui a des vitamines, mais les moyens nous manquent.
Like this lady from the town of Kylie, 30% of inhabitants of the far north region of Cameroon suffer malnutrition, and out of this percentage, 15% suffer from severe malnutrition. These disturbing statistics from health experts in Cameroon places the far north region of Cameroon as most affected by malnutrition, followed by the north region, the Adamawa and the east region. Financial difficulties, insufficient food supply and natural disasters like floods responsible for the destruction of farmlands has been blamed for the high rate of malnutrition. There isn't enough food to eat and our children grow with insufficient vitamin. That's why many die here. Despite efforts employed by the Ministry of Public Health, running from prevention and medical care, malnutrition remains a major public health concern in the region. However, sensitization has been intensified to get women to better master local food rationing to eradicate the disturbing health situation.
Nous travaillons de concert avec les commerçants pour s'assurer de la disponibilité de ces aliments.
Locals, however, expect public health officials to multiply such strategies in order to kick out malnutrition from the national triangle.
Take you to Mombo in the Mongo Division, littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, and there we're going to be taking a look at the problems of underdevelopment, the inadequate presence of social amenities, and the people are calling on government authorities to do something to rescue them from the difficult social conditions in which they are living today. Immaculate Foge reports.
Mombo, situated in the Mungo Division, littoral region of Cameroon, is plagued with enormous developmental challenges. One of the major problems the population is facing is a lack of potable water. Despite the availability of water sources which could be exploited for consumption, the population say they are yet to have access to the precious liquid so as to quench their thirst. We are suffering here in Mombo. Our wells are dry. We have to cover very long distances in order to have access to potable water. Epileptic electricity supply, largely attributed to worn-out poles and fallen electric cables, is another major issue. Unemployment as well cannot be undermined. Mombo has been abandoned. Council workers in Mombo have not been paid for the past 7 months. What are they doing with the taxes paid by the population? A lot of youths in Mombo are jobless. The population of Mombo are calling on competent authorities to address their plights soonest.
Less than 2 weeks to back to school, parents in the Republic of Cameroon, notably those who fall within the category of Cameroonians living below the poverty line, lamenting over hardship. The difficulties they are facing, they say, are enormous, and some of them told us that they have simply been rendered helpless by the coronavirus pandemic, coming to add to the already difficult socio-economic situation in which they have been living. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
A few days to the reopening of schools for a new academic year in Cameroon, bookshops across the city of Douala are not yet witnessing an influx of buyers. Several parents are yet to be seen in bookshops in the quest to get exercise and textbooks for their kids, and many who spoke to us advanced financial difficulties as their major reason.
I have over 10 children, and not even one has been registered in school. We are jobless. Our kids are not yet ready because of Corona.
Others say banks and financial institutions have been reluctant to grant their requests for financial loans.
For now, we are not yet ready for back to school. Our demands for school loans are being delayed by banks and meetings. It's not easy. We even wish that the back to school is postponed for about a month again.
A timid back to school atmosphere which is frightening to book dealers who say they spent a lot to purchase the didactic materials.
If we are unable to sell, we might just be heading for the prison because we borrowed money to buy our goods.
The situation is not different to roadside vendors of school gadgets in Douala.
To sell 3 bags in a day is not easy everywhere, whereas we borrowed money for the goods, and the inability to sell is just like prison.
They accuse the COVID-19 pandemic as partly responsible for the slow state of affairs. While traders are optimistic that the days ahead will be better, parents are also hopeful that a solution will come from somewhere so they can get their kids successfully back to school on October the 5th, 2020.
One of the victims of the explosion which occurred in Bonaberi Douala 4 subdivision Wednesday night breaking Thursday is responding to treatment. That explosion, it should be recorded, left 2 persons dead. In the meantime, gendarmerie officers are still investigating the real cause of the explosion of that tanker. Details in this report.
Explosion Wednesday night, September 23rd, 2020 caused a commotion across Petrolex and surrounding neighborhoods in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision.
I'm Pastor Chris Motake and I'm a pastor with Faith Bible Church. Wednesday evening, while we were in church, we had a meeting, and about 7 p.m. in the evening we had a mega sound, you know, as an explosion of something. And we thought that it was a bomb that was thrown at the church because the impact was really heavy on the church. With the size of the hall, you know, the echo, the sound was really huge, and everybody was just so afraid. So when we looked out, we saw people running, and so when I came down, I noticed that the louvers of the window were completely shattered, destroyed. Everything was on the ground, and you know, part of the wall of the building got cracked, and even the louvers upstairs equally got broken. Then the ceiling of one little building that is just beside the church came out of place. And so when this morning
2 persons were killed and others severely wounded, according to elements of the Army Rescue Unit.
On a retrouvé 2 corps.
We met 2 dead bodies. According to sources from the gendarmerie that came before us, 6 persons are directly involved in this accident. 2 have been taken to the gendarmerie brigade in Bojongo, 2 who died and 1 that has been rushed to the hospital. The deceased are Calvin Tapazu, Mr. Ndifo, and Mr. Tampe Pri Daniel that has been rushed to the hospital.
Calvin Tapazo qui est décédé, Monsieur Ndifo décédé, et puis Monsieur Tampe Pri Daniel qui a été évacué avant notre arrivée.
Locals say Calvin, one of the deceased and a welder by profession, was working on the tanker when it exploded.
When I went to check on what happened, we realized that it was a welder, you know, who is somebody who is doing welding just beside the church. He was working on a tanker that, you know, carried fuel, but we were told that the fuel was emptied, but they did not open it for the air to evaporate. So while he was working, the explosion, you know, happened, and that's it.
Elements of the National Gendarmerie at Bojongo have launched an investigation to determine the exact circumstances that led to the unfortunate incident.
The journey to the world beyond for the mortal remains of late Police Commissioner Roger Kwa Ekobena started earlier today. The funeral of the top-ranking police officer began with the corpse removal at the Douala Military Hospital. and of course at the Douala Military Hospital mortuary under the supervision of Police Commissioner Raymond Esogo, Littoral Regional Delegate of National Security, personal representative of the Delegate General for National Security, and this was followed by military honors at the Esplanade of the Douala City Council. Born April 4, 1963 in Kot Kong, Bebda Subdivision, Leki Division, Central Region of Cameroon, Police Commissioner Roger Kwa Ekobena served the nation in different capacities from 1986 to 2020. Appointed Commissioner of the Police Special Branch Police Station at the Douala 2 in the Douala 2 subdivision, New Bell. He was promoted to the rank of Police Commissioner last year. And speaking on behalf of the Delegate General for National Security, Police Commissioner Raymond Esogo said the death of Police Commissioner Roger Kwa Ekobena is a great loss to the police corps and the nation as a whole. From the Douala City Council Esplanade, the corpse was transported to the nation's capital, Yaoundé, and he will be laid to rest in his native Kotkong village in the Bebda subdivision. Tomorrow, now take a listen to Police Commissioner Raymond Esogo, Littoral Regional Delegate of National Security and one of the sons of the deceased.
Le collaborateur que nous venons de perdre, le commissaire divisionnaire Ekwa Ekobena, était un collaborateur précieux.
The collaborator we just lost, Police Commissioner Kwa Ekobena, was precious to both the Littoral Delegation of National Security and the General Delegation of National Security.
Déjà, c'est un commissaire divisionnaire que nous perdons.
It's a police commissioner who has gone. They are not as many as some people think. We are lamenting over the loss of an officer of that rank.
Un cadre de ce niveau, c'est des larmes. Nous avons des larmes aux yeux.
He was also precious because of his great works. The sector that was under his command is stronghold of political activists and delinquents from everywhere.
C'est également un secteur qui regorge de délinquants de tous bords. Et c'est lui qui couvrait ce secteur.
He was in charge of that sector. So you understand that vacuum created by his death.
Le vide, le moment où on l'opère, c'est quel moment?
He quits the scene at a time when political tensions arrive.
D'ailleurs, je le dis au nom de Monsieur le Délégué Général à la Sûreté Nationale.
My father was a very good example for me. He was the only man that when I see and I look at his life, I can expect how I can do later. For me and my brothers, it's a very painful situation. He was not just working for the nation, but also for us.
That was the Littoral Regional Delegate for National Security, Police Commissioner Raymond Esogo, representative of the Delegate General for National Security. The corpse removal and subsequent military honors to Police Commissioner Roger Kwa Ekobena, who is no more, and of course the son of the deceased speaking. They're now out of the country. The leaders in Mali have been installed into the functions. The leaders who will take the country through the transitional period after the ousting of the last president of the country, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita. They were commissioned into their functions. Today, the swearing-in ceremony took place today. Details with Immaculate Fogwe.
Mali's new president, Bandao, former defense minister, has been sworn into office 5 weeks after the overthrow of Ibrahim Boubacar Keita. During the swearing-in ceremony, President Bandao pledged to do everything so that Mali returns to full constitutional legality with elected authorities and legitimate representatives. President Bandao and Colonel Goiter were successfully sworn in before the President of the Supreme Court, Wafi Wadageye Sise. The swearing-in ceremony marks the beginning of the transition period of up to 18 months. At the end, General elections will be organized for the return of civilians to head the country. Citing several articles of the Transitional Charter, the country's Supreme Court Attorney General Boya Dembele recalled that this transition should not go on forever. The West African Regional Group, Equinoxe, says it will not lift the sanctions it imposed on Mali after the military coup that took place 5 weeks ago until a civilian prime minister was nominated. The announcement comes shortly after Mali's new president was sworn in.
Talking Point is up next. Thanks for staying with us in Talking Points. Today we are receiving one of the living witnesses of the ongoing crisis, the security crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. He is from Subum village, Bum subdivision, Boyo division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. He is now an IDP, an internally displaced a person living here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Tufu Elias, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
All right, tell us what happened before you left your village, Subum, to come to Douala.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Jonathan Babila. We in Subum, Boabwa, we had no problem with the military nor the Amber Boys. We are far away from Fundong. Then, what brought us a problem was the Fulani people. The Fulani people are destroying us. Destroying us in what way? They have formed a group of thieves. So,
a group of vigilante or
no, that is a gang of thieves, blocking people on the way and seizing their properties, not touching any other Fulani people apart from the natives. Example like me, there was a day they came to my compound in my absence, caught a goat, slaughtered it in front of my door and went. Told the child with whom I was living with her in the house that when I come back, they should tell me that they are coming back for me. So I reported that to my quarter head. It was less considered. Okay. After time and time again, there is a market we used to have in Subum, the Subum cattle market. It's always on Wednesdays. So on this day, traders from Mesije, Dumbu, Nkambe, when they enjoy the market, after going back, they are attacked on the way. They beat the traders, rape women along the road with all evil activities that they do. So now,
and these acts that are committed by civilians.
Yes, it's by civilians, not anybody in uniform.
And this has been going on.
So this has been going on for a year. Less action was taken. So then there was a time again. They went up right to Boabwa and attacked one businessman in his store, shot him, and one of his eye was destroyed. They took him to the hospital, bingo, that eye was gushed out. So there was an intervention from the boys.
The separatist fighters.
The separatist fighters. As they came in risky of our people. But we had a fear because we never wanted them to come to our area. Because we had the fear that if they come to our area, military can hear and come and chase us. In our area, there was no problem. When these people came, they chased the Fulani people out of the area. But with the time they went and teamed themselves up and came back.
Before you go forward, I should also indicate that they too are complaining. The Fulanis, they too are complaining that they are being attacked. They are targeted. So the complaints are coming from both sides, and this is what is...
Yes. They have to do so, because nobody would like to be a victim of that. Their population in that our village is more than our own. What I'm telling you is a living fact. They are saying it now. When you want to go into details, why is it that they don't attack the Fulani people if they are not those doing the act? On this day, I'm mentioning 14th of December, 2019. Yes, 2019. It was on a Saturday, around 12 o'clock. Me in particular, I was attacked. When I went down to the village, because I was somebody managing with the Sugum Baptist Health Center. So when I heard the information that people have said, all of people in Sugum should go out, even right off to Buabuga. But I said, what's happening? There was no good information about that. So when I left, went back to the village, I was trying to caution the small young men who were in the village. I said, nobody should react against anybody who is coming here. When we see people, we should just take cover and then they go to where they are going. We did not obey it because the information came that it was military, but it was not military. When they came, those who attacked me, when I left and I was going back to the health center, I heard a bike vibrating behind me. When that bike came, when I turned to look at the bike, I saw somebody halfway. He had a military uniform, but up he had a tricot. But I look at him, I say, but military doesn't dress in this form. But why should that man be having half uniform of the military and half civil? He pointed at me with a gun and told me to produce those my boys that I'm keeping here. I told him that no, I don't know anybody like the type of people you are mentioning to me. He said if I shake, he'll shoot me. I stood. He commanded me. He said, hands up. I lifted my hands up. He said, kneel down. I went down on my knees. That was how the story was. After a time, I heard a vehicle. A vehicle came with a group of Fulani people. Some were in military uniform, not complete, but with good guns. Then they came, surrounded me. Then I told them my truth before God. Then at the end, then one of those persons confirmed that he knows me. He has been seeing me in the health center. Those who knew me very well, when they saw me, they ran back behind the car and hid themselves, not to make me see them. The other one who came out saw me as I saw him. He said, no, I should not be killed. Then that was how the story came out. Then one young boy came out and stood in front of me and take a look carefully, look at me and told the people that no, this man is not a vandal. Then I told them that no, I'm pleading you people that don't kill me. I am not an Amba boy. What hurt me was gloops that I had in my trousers. When I thrusted my hands into my trousers, I pulled out those gloops, shot me.
That you're working in the hospital?
I'm working in the health center. That was what saved me. Then another man again came behind and gave me 2 good slaps. You see, then I thought what otherwise. I said, I am not a man you people are expecting. Why beat me?
Were they suspecting you that you're an informant of
yes, that was
military, that you're working with separatists or whatever?
Well, I didn't know their intention. They think it's everybody they saw the only attack. Then that day, was Sunday. Saturday we left Subum and escaped to Buabua with the information from one phone who sent an information that there is another powerful group coming from Nigeria. When that he said all of us should escape.
People coming from
Nigeria. People from Nigeria.
Cameroonians or Nigerians?
I couldn't identify.
You could not identify.
Yes. So when they came, that information came from that Kumbi chief who sent us the information. Then on Sunday, we didn't go to church. Then on Sunday now, we ran and went to Buaba. When we went to Buaba, we were shown a school to go and stay there the next morning so that we could see what will happen. That day they came and entered Buaba. There was terrible shooting. The Fulani were leading the group. They were a mixed gang of people.
With civilians
and those
indigenes and
those in half uniform. You see somebody with the military uniform down, you see another one with the military uniform up. So it was a confusive group. You could not identify whether this is a military man or an Amba boy. But the Fulani people were in their normal dresses as usual.
So it's not just about a certain group of persons, but it's about young people coming from different communities, ganging up together,
yes,
to carry on some of these kind of actions that you're describing.
Yeah.
And then confronting
the
security and defense forces.
Sure. What I'm telling you exactly is it was a mixed gang of people. But most, that is 75% of the people were the Fulani people.
So,
and the Fulani people, they were the very people around us. From Subum back to Kumbi. So right now, as I'm talking,
what is the state of Subum today? What is the state of the village
today? Okay, the state of the village, after, I'm still about to tell you more. On Monday, that was when serious shooting started in Subum. There was killing on that Monday in Buabo, because there was nobody again in Subum. After they upsetted everything that was in the health center. The lab was thrown down. They break all some of the windows, went into the chief of center's office, scattered everything, upsetted all the pharmacy medicine store.
That is during the confrontation,
yes,
with forces of security and defense forces.
No. This act was done only by the Fulani people. Because that day they came. The day they came, they passed. When
by
that
the mixed gang.
Yes, by the mixed gang, yeah.
Of Fulanis and other indigenes of the area.
Sure. Sure. That is how it was. People were beaten in the health center. They attacked one guy, beat him close to death. He was picked and transferred to Buabua. There was no way. We were afraid that man may die on the way. Thank God that God saved the man and he did not die. His name was Ngong Emmanuel Kumta.
So when this happened, what happened after this? The people escaped, the houses burnt down?
When we left Subum, 2 days after the act, close to 1 week, every house in Subum was burnt down. Apart from the health center structure, that was only the glasses and doors that was condemned. But no house in Subum. They set fire on the houses, and then the houses that were zinc on top, they used petrol in burning the houses. Because it was after 2 weeks, I went back to Subum. When I got to my compound, I was very sorry. Even right now, as I'm talking, I don't have a home. Anything you see on my body, like you see me now, It's not feeding me because it's not my proper address.
Are there still some people?
There are no people in Subum. People are still struggling to go back to Buabua now. Subum, there is nobody. There's no native in Subum today, as we are talking.
How did you manage to escape in the midst of all this?
Me? I can't explain. When you are with God, God will be with you. I was not the only person who escaped. So many of us escaped. Nobody was killed in Subum. But Buabua, people were killed in Subum on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Monday? Monday.
That was in 2019.
Yes, 2019. December.
Late 2019.
Yeah. So that is how the incident happened.
So the whole place has been deserted. Since you have been in Douala since January 2020, is that?
Yes.
What is the news that you're receiving from home?
From whom?
Yes, from the neighbors around. Since there's nobody back in Subum, in Buabua, for example.
Yes, I started telling you that Buabua people are some of them, that their houses were not completely destroyed. They are going back. Very few people are in Buabua today. But as of Subum, there is just nobody. Even our health center has been completely destroyed. We had a health center. So that was the worst part that people did there.
Destroyed by civilians?
Yes, by the vandals.
Mixed with people in military uniform?
People in military uniform and those Fulani people.
So now,
even when the day they came, there were patients in the health center. When they came, they drove out the Fulani people. They came and informed the Fulani people to leave the health center before time. So those in the health center, they left.
Since you have been in Douala for close to a year today, how have you been surviving?
Well, I am living with a pastor in Douala here. He has been keeping me like an IDP. So I left my house with 3 people, plus myself 4. That was my wife and my 2 sons. So we came here, then we went into the pastor's. He received us. Up to now, I'm only depending on him. Me and my family, we are only depending on that pastor. Then the church people in Bipe, they gathered and came to the house and prayed with us and gave us food.
Now, the United Nations Development Program and the government of Cameroon want to reconstruct the northwest and southwest regions of the country, beginning with a 3-year recovery plan by the United Nations Development Program. What do you think about that program? Are you looking forward to go back home and contribute in this?
I am a man of no decision for now. It's painful. Look at me and see that a man like me should be. How many years? How long do I have to do now? Or my expenditure, like Mr. Journalist, it's very painful to explain all. I have a lot of things to say, but I can't say. Why? Because I am intoxicated with all these problems.
All right. In some few words, what do you expect from the government of Cameroon?
What the government is planning to do? Who is me to deny? If the government thinks fit that she can replace her people to their normal position, fine and good. If the United Nations of the world can see that they can give us a help, happy I am going to be. So for now, as I'm talking to you, it's very painful to go back to Subum. Because when I get back to Subum now, I'm going to start how? A man like me, I'm your father. I'm your father. Then just think, if you now, my son, you used to send me certain things to keep in the compound, goods and all why not, and dresses to go and dress your father, then you will hear that all those things are burnt down. News came just very abrupt that nobody should. I told my people that when you are escaping, you don't have to take anything. As you look at me, that is how I came out. And from trouser, from shoe to anything I'm wearing, it's a gift. It's a gift. So now, if we want to talk of investment, I planted palms. I planted, that is 3 years planting and 1 year planting. But when you get back to Subuna, it's a grazing area. How sorrowful is it looking like? It's a grazing area.
By the grace of God, we are looking forward to better days when all of these will come to an end and life will come back to normalcy.
Well, Mr. Journalist, like you rightly asked me a question about the Fulanis. When two people are in court, anybody is fighting for he or her defense.
Now that we are not yet in court.
No, I'm just quoting. I'm quoting.
That will only happen in court. We are running out of time, and we'll certainly have another opportunity to discuss about that, probably with those who are concerned by what you're saying, so that we can have a global view of what is happening there. So, Tufu Elias Bia from Subum Village, Boom Subdivision, Boyo Division, Northwest Region of the Republic of Cameroon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.
Well, thank you very much for receiving me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
Les Camerounais s'interrogent. Les dons sont remis au ministre de la Santé, au ministre de l'Administration territoriale. Ces dons ne sont pas acheminés. Il y a l'opacité sur tous les points de vue. Le nombre de malades explose. Et on continue à nous dire que tout va